Harry and Meghan going to another country, pretending like they're royals when they're not. And they're doing it literally like days after Prince Andrew, ex-Prince Andrew, was arrested because they want to just really cause that stress in the royal family.
Harry and Meghan are back at it again, being disaster tourists, because apparently they have nothing better to do than waste government time and resources, in this case, for the country of Jordan and the WHO and UN's time.
All they had to do was shut up and do nothing. And Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were probably going to get their best news cycle in years, because we know deep down they want to bring down the British royal family.
The World Health Organization, the government of Jordan, and others are making here is enormously appreciated. So thank you for coming. Why is a British ambassador welcoming them on a visit when Meghan Markle has trashed everything and Harry about the British government?
And she is now living in denial. She thinks she can somehow pick up the pieces of her shattered life and resume what she used to do, which was, ligging money off people, coming up with rubbish projects, borrowing money, being paid for, and just generally jet setting around the world freeloading. Well, nobody wants to know her anymore.
Why are these two going? How much does it cost for these two to go? And why do they keep allowing this to happen? I don't get it. Now, as you'll remember, they did, similar visits to Nigeria, Colombia. They love these faux royal tours to go out there to make it seem like they're, royals, when we all know they're not.
Why to visit Palestinian refugees, which we are not to take as any sort of reflection on their political ideologies, even though obviously visiting Gaza refugees does have a bit of a potential political ramification, especially when we know that Meghan is diehard liberal. So she is probably anti-Israel, maybe. I don't know.
She always knows where the camera is, doesn't she? Everybody's listening to this lady, Prince Harry, everybody. Meghan's eyes directly to the camera. And, but that smile, there's nothing to smile about. It is incredibly creepy.
There's something almost electric about this moment. Queen Rania of Jordan, one of the most photographed, admired, and globally respected queens alive today, was right there in her own kingdom this week, in her palace, in her home, and somehow Meghan Markle couldn't secure even a single minute, not a fleeting moment, not even a polite hello.
Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and Prince Harry will talk about their trip to Jordan. It wasn't full courtesy to the royals, because apparently the fact that they haven't met any main royal in Jordan, like Queen Rania of Jordan or even the heir to the throne or whatever, it's a failure.
And that silence from Queen Rania, it isn't empty space, it's a message carved in stone. By the time we reach the end of this video, you're going to understand precisely why that silence happened, what it signals, and why it should have King Charles more worried right now than he has been in years. So let's step into it.
Charles and Camilla were out at St. James's Palace yesterday, delivering awards, and of course, Charles not looking well at all. Now, I'm going to get into just a moment why Harry and Meghan claim, they're not taking sides in the whole Israel-Palestine thing. Bullshit.
Picture the scene. Harry and Meghan touching down in Amman, Jordan for a tightly packed 2-day trip arranged by the World Health Organization, touring refugee camps, meeting children from Gaza, visiting a hospital, sitting at a round table discussion, serious work, serious imagery, serious cameras.
Announced yesterday was this surprise trip to Jordan. In partnership with the World Health Organization. Now, 1 week right after the arrest of Harry's uncle, ex-Prince Andrew, they are traveling to Jordan for this humanitarian visit to focus on global health and mental health support. Of course, these two morons apparently are helping the mental health of refugees. But yeah, they're there today. We have some reports on what they've been doing today, as well as they'll be there tomorrow, February 26th. The royal family has been informed of the trip, of course, because they got to just poke them as much as they can, which comes 1 week after ex-Prince Andrew's arrest, and is being undertaken as a humanitarian visit in partnership with, as I said, the World Health Organization.
But their team chose every word like they were defusing a bomb. They called it a visit, never a tour, because a tour implies official royal business, and that's a world they voluntarily stepped away from. They relinquished that role. They made that choice.
These two grifters and fake have decided this is the moment to embark on a new fake royal tour this time of the Middle East, where she's literally trying to claim she's the queen of the desert in Jordan.
And yet here they were, motorcades sweeping through the streets, police protection escorting them like dignitaries seated beside global health officials at polished conference tables. But here's the detail the mainstream press tiptoes around. Jordan isn't just some random location on a travel itinerary. This is the country where Catherine, the Princess of Wales, spent her childhood.
So much to say about this, by the way, because Jordan, I'm sure you know, is also one of the happy places for Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, where she grew up. And Meghan is just cosplaying Diana here in a cringe and creepy way. The clear sort of messaging coming from Montecito is, we're the future. We're now going to be the real royals. But actually, all of us are looking at this like, what the hell? You have just involved yourself in the biggest geopolitical dispute in the world, which you know divides everyone, and you're doing it without a second thought.
Her father lived and worked in Amman from 1984 to 1986, shaping her early life in the heart of Jordan. When William made his official visit there in 2018, he stood at a podium and spoke openly, lovingly about how deeply that country matters to his wife. Queen Rania herself attended William and Catherine's wedding. So when Meghan chose, out of all the nations on earth, to drop into Jordan just 1 week after William's historic trip to Saudi Arabia, that wasn't random, that was strategy.
Harry and Meghan were going to do a 2-day visit to Jordan. Why? To visit Palestinian refugees, which we are not to take as any sort of reflection on their political ideologies, even though obviously visiting Gaza refugees does have a bit of a potential political ramification, especially when we know that Meghan is a diehard liberal. So she is probably anti-Israel, maybe, I don't know. But it's a distinct possibility. And when this news came out, I'm like, right, of course. You know, Prince William was just in Saudi Arabia a couple of weeks ago, and Harry and Meghan managed to arrange a Middle East visit themselves right around.
And Queen Rania is far too intelligent not to notice strategy when she sees it. Here's where the story sharpens. The King and Queen of Jordan simply did not meet them. Let that sink in. King Abdullah and Queen Rania, fully aware that Harry and Meghan were on their soil, opted out. No palace welcome, no formal greeting, no smiling photos beneath gilded arches, nothing. And yes, some people murmured, maybe they were busy. Stop, no.
Meghan Markle couldn't even pass the foreign officer's exams test. And it's highly doubtful that she actually graduated from university because her picture at the Northwestern yearbook is not even there, in spite of the fact that they gave the students almost 2.5 weeks to schedule a time to get the picture taken. Allegedly, she's been very, very angry that the focus is on Prince Harry and not on her, in spite of her best efforts.
Royal schedules don't malfunction by coincidence. When someone still carries the title Duke and Duchess of Sussex, names still displayed on the official royal website, if Queen Rania had wanted a meeting would have materialized instantly. Royal households talk, teams coordinate, entire staffs exist to choreograph moments like this. So that silence, that absence, that was a purposeful decision at the very top. And here's what Queen Rania understood. Meghan was counting on her to play along. Meghan needed that photo, standing beside true reigning royalty in a nation that holds emotional weight for William and Catherine. A photo that would whisper, without words, we're still relevant, we still belong.
Go through what has happened so far since they touched down in Jordan and visited a specialty hospital in Amman, where Meghan, very much in Diana mode, Diana wannabe mode, held hands with a 14-year-old Gaza refugee burns victim and talked to doctors. They also watched a music class at the Quest Scope Youth Centre at the Zatari refugee camp near Mafraq and took part in a football discussion. Then things get really bad because they're teaming up with Dr. Tedros. Now, Dr. Tedros, bloke who ran the World Health Organization during COVID, one of the worst people in the world, okay? Like, this is not the win that Prince Harry and Meghan think it is, but we'll get into that in a moment. First, let's just watch day one of Meghan pretending to be Princess Diana and Prince Harry thinking he's the one to save the royal family on this fake royal.
But Queen Rania denied her the moment. That's what dignity looks like when it moves with precision. Viewers picked up on it instantly. Comments poured in, thousands deep. One said, telling at least one king understands exactly how to handle these two. A comment that nearly hit 600 likes. Another wrote, Queen Rania clearly couldn't be bothered with irrelevant fake royals.
She's part of many scandals, yet the palace is interceding on her behalf. So are we under any doubt that this is any different? Because why are they getting that? Harry and Meghan Markle would not be able to spot kindness or charity, even if it slapped them.
And then this, while in Jordan, Meghan kicked a soccer ball at a youth refugee camp, and within hours, the internet lit up with side-by-side screenshots of Catherine doing the identical thing years ago on royal tour. Same stance, same setup, same activity, but an entirely different aura.
Beyond that, of course, it's just a lot of photo ops is ultimately what these appearances truly are. They get paid to go out and do photo ops and show that they're important when they're not. And Meghan Markle was snapped taking a penalty shot of football during a youth center visit in Jordan. Look at her getting down and dirty, kicking that ball. You go, girl. Oh, wait, I feel like we've seen this before. That's right. That's right. That's what Catherine was doing back in 2022. But anyway, their visit to Questscope Youth Center, this refugee camp, Meghan was snapped blasting a penalty past a young goalkeeper in the back of the net. She was laughing and smiling along with the child refugees, many of whom have been displaced Syrians, delighted with the victory over her husband. She's taking a leaf out of Princess Kate's book, who's an actual princess, mind you.
And it didn't stop there. William makes a high-level trip to Saudi Arabia. Days later, Harry and Meghan announce a Middle East visit. Catherine's personal history is deeply tied to Jordan. Meghan lands in Jordan. Diana's legacy is built on compassionate hospital visits. Meghan holds a patient's hand and makes sure every camera captures the angle. The parallels are not subtle, they're deliberate echoes.
But actually, Taj, what I was going to say is that I still really sense a deep unhappiness when I see Harry in a lot of these pictures, you know.
This isn't inspiration. It isn't coincidence. It's a woman haunted by what she abandoned, trying again and again to reconstruct it with her own lighting, her own lens, her own script. And the sting of it all, the more she attempts to replicate royalty, the more the world notices the widening space between imitation and authenticity, between who she wants to be and who Catherine already is.
And the fact that they have had to rely on him to make this visit happen says a huge amount. Now, in their briefing to the mainstream media, which we'll get to shortly, Harry and Meghan insisted that they had informed Buckingham Palace of their visit. Oh, big hug from Dr. Tedros. God, these two are completely delusional. They have no idea what they're doing here. They have no idea that Dr. Tedros would have to be so desperate to want them there.
Catherine doesn't perform being a princess, she simply is one. And now we need to speak plainly because truth deserves clarity. Thomas Markle is 80, recovering from a stroke, plagued by severe health issues, and has recently had a leg amputated. He is healing in the Philippines, largely alone, without his daughter anywhere in sight.
It's obvious that they are going out there for their own selfish reasons. They are going out there to go on a promotional tour. They are taking advantage of the fact the royal family are having a bit of a rough time at the moment. And like you said, Meghan doing the Diana thing, holding the girl's hand as she's in bed. It's so fake because we've seen the real Meghan. We've seen the way she treats her father. Harry stood there in one of the photographs holding a prosthetic leg. I find that a bit distasteful given the fact that Thomas Markle's due to be fitted for one himself and those two don't even think about him. You cannot treat your family the way that they do and then try and convince the world that you care about anybody or anything other than your...
And while Meghan stood in a Jordanian hospital beside a 14-year-old refugee, tenderly holding the child's hand as the cameras clicked in perfect formation, her own father had just undergone an amputation and she boarded a plane to Jordan.
Harry and Meghan Markle would not be able to spot kindness or charity, even if it slapped them. Harry used to pretend when he was back in the United Kingdom trying to be a prince. How about your father? Harry just gave a little, hostage speech about Invictus Games and veterans with prosthetic legs. Why doesn't he give one to his father-in-law, Mr. Markle, who's 82 years old and just went through a traumatic operation? Why are they being thanked for being there? Well, Meghan Markle was flown with an entire team of hairdresser, private plane. Why? At whose expense? Who's paying for this absolute fakery? And people don't want to engage with her.
The reaction online was volcanic. One viewer wrote, "She can fly to Jordan but not to the Philippines." Another added, "Donates for prosthetics for strangers but not her own dad." And that comment soared to nearly 1,000 likes. Because people see the contradiction, they feel it. And here's the detail nearly too brutal to articulate. While she toured that Jordan hospital, she posed beside prosthetic limbs, moved, compassionate, emotional, while her father was being fitted for one himself. No PR team, no WHO partnership, no crisp white blazer can conceal that. Compassion can be staged. What someone chooses or refuses to give their own parent cannot be fake. And then came the moment that sent royal watchers spinning. The British ambassador to Jordan, Peter Hall, greeted Harry and Meghan himself, thanked them on camera, and hosted them at his official residence. Yet Harry and Meghan's spokespeople insisted the trip had nothing to do with the UK government, wasn't tied to the crown, and that the palace was notified merely out of courtesy. But the ambassador opened the door wide. So either Peter Hall went rogue, or someone quietly signaled permission from within the British establishment. And if that's true, then anyone asking why Charles won't strip the Sussex titles has their answer. Titles carry weight. As long as Harry is the Duke of Sussex, embassies will greet him, countries will receive him, institutions will seat him. The title does the work he no longer does, and Charles knows it. Deep down, Charles has likely always believed his son would return, and that fragile hope, more than anything visible in Jordan, is what should concern the British public. And now, let's speak honestly about Harry. This man walked away from one of the most extraordinary platforms on the planet, a life filled with purpose, structure, a global voice, a country that embraced him, the Invictus Games he built, access to world leaders, to causes that mattered. He said the institution was toxic. He said he needed air. And now, here he is in Jordan, sitting at a WHO conference table, watching his wife kick a soccer ball for cameras, holding a prosthetic leg for staged shots, looking, as so many viewers have observed, like a man quietly wondering how he ended up here. One comment this week hit nearly 700 likes. Partners of narcissists always have that tired, sad, haunted look. The Harry of today and the Harry of 9 years ago hardly resembled the same person. He chased freedom and instead found himself in Jordan in February, sitting half a step behind his wife as she adjusted the camera angles. Here's what's really unfolding, and tell me in the comments if you feel this too. King Charles is ill. His recent footage has deeply unsettled those who've watched this family for decades. Andrew has been arrested, Sarah Ferguson is hiding out in Switzerland, the monarchy is facing its most unstable moment since the abdication, and in the middle of all of this, Harry and Meghan swept into Catherine's Jordan, into Queen Rania's Jordan, with a camera crew, 3 wardrobe changes, and a PR machine feeding identical lines to People magazine and Town and Country, and Charles said nothing. No statement, no distancing, no removal of titles, and a British ambassador rolled out the red carpet. Every single day those titles remain is another day Meghan can stand in Jordan, in Catherine's Jordan, and the world is obliged to treat her like she belongs there. She does not. The only real question is whether Charles will act before William is forced to, because William most certainly will. So here's the question we end with today. Queen Rania of Jordan, close friend of Catherine, guest at the